Hey guys, how's it going? Daniel here for another video, and I figured I'd do a little something different today. If any of you have been watching my videos for a long time, you know that I love music and I really love rock and metal, especially metal. I used to do CD videos, like CD collection videos and stuff like that. I didn't do very many of them, and they are no longer on my channel, so a lot of you probably don't know that I used to do that, but it's true. And I've kind of been thinking about getting back into doing them, like doing actual album reviews. Now, I was going to do Kill 'Em All by Metallica, but my new Cannibal Corpse shirt just came in the mail. And so I figured, why not do an album review of a Cannibal Corpse album? And this is the only one I own. This is actually the only death metal album I own. I just got into death metal pretty recently, so I don't really know a whole lot about it. I don't have a whole lot of things to say about the genre because Cannibal Corpse is really the only band I'm really into as far as the genre. I do want to get into Death and Nile, and I want to get into more of Battlecross. I'm not a big Deicide fan. I think that's how you say it, Deicide. The band that Glenn Benton sings for, I don't like that very much, and I haven't really listened to Morbid Angel. I may have to give them a try. I might. But I love this band, and I'm really excited to expand my horizons in more death metal. But for today, I'm going to review Tomb of the Mutilated by Cannibal Corpse. That is a awesome album cover. I actually bought it just for the album cover. I was going to buy Butchered at Birth when I went to Hastings. This is where I got it. They had two Cannibal Corpse CDs. They had this and they had Butchered at Birth. I was gonna get that, but I ended up getting this because the album cover just was so. It was nothing I had ever seen before. Even the album cover for Butchered at Birth, which is what the shirt is, even though that is pretty vile and disgusting and gruesome and awesome. There's just something about this that just screams, what the fuck, you know? And this is one of the most controversial album covers as far as I'm aware. Like, this was actually, like, some stores wouldn't carry this one. Well, that's the way it was with a lot of Cannibal Corpse albums, especially the Wretched Spawn. But I think this really was the album that got Cannibal Corpse a lot of attention because, well, first off, the cover. This became one of the most infamous album covers in the entire genre. And then also the song, the first track off here, Hammer Smashed Face, was featured in the Jim Carrey movie Ace Ventura. So that also, the fact that it was in a very big Hollywood comedy with a really big name actor on stage performing with the band in the movie, and that Jim Carrey, obviously, he's a huge Cannibal Corpse fan. I think that all really is what made Cannibal Corpse like really popular and well known like they are today. They've been going since 1988. They signed with Metal Blade in 1989, but they had formed in, I think it was December 1988, and they've been going on ever since. They have they have somewhere around 10 albums to date. They might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less. I'm not 100% on that. But this is one of their most critically acclaimed, and after listening to it, I can see why. I think this is a great death metal release. Just a great metal release in general. I really do enjoy this album. I can't really go into all the songs and like analyze what I love about each one of them because really for the most part, they sound very similar. They each have like their own like. They're different enough to the point where they're not just the same song, but they have very similar sounds, and this is a very consistent album. It keeps the flow going really well. Like me and my friend, we were listening to this in the car, and this album really goes by really quickly. We were listening to it, and we thought we were still on the first track, when really we were on the third one, and then later on we thought we were on like maybe the fifth or sixth track. Really, we were on like the last one. So this album, it goes by pretty quickly. Honestly, like, well, it did for us, and I think what I like the most about it is the instrumentals. It's a great album to listen to when you're driving around. It's kind of like, I don't want to say Five Finger Death Punch because it's way different from Five Finger Death Punch, but it's one of those albums that I listen to when I'm driving. Like, I don't think I've ever listened to this album like when I'm not in my car. Like, it's just, I probably should, but it's very much a car ride album. It gets me excited. It gets me, it really, it's an exciting album to listen to. It's one of the, this is an album that I replay a lot. Like, this is one I've listened to a few times now, and I've had it for a short time. Uh, it's a great album. This is one of my go-tos now, and I wasn't really expecting that. I was expecting to listen to it and enjoy it. I didn't really think it would get me into like, I didn't think it would get me into a whole other genre of metal. Like, it caught me off guard. I love Cannibal Corpse because of it. I mean, I've heard other songs off of other albums, obviously, but I think this is the only album I've listened to in its entirety. So I need to pick up Butchered at Birth, The Wretched Spawn, The Bleeding. I think that, was that the name? Was it The Bleeding? Or was it The Killing? I don't remember. Gore Obsessed. Yeah, those are the big ones, the big name ones that I've heard. I think there is. I'm not saying that this is a perfect album. I think if there is one thing that holds this back from being a perfect metal album, is that it is Chris Barnes' vocals. He's a very good metal vocalist, but he's almost inaudible on this album. Like, you can hear him, but you don't understand what he's saying. It's all very much guttural, like kind of like that. Even when I had like the booklet and I was reading off the lyrics as he was singing, I kept losing my place because it's impossible to make out what he's saying. I can't do it. And I haven't heard. I have yet to hear any of the George Fisher era Cannibal Corpse, so maybe that's a little more easy to understand. I doubt it, but maybe it is. Chris Barnes is just I can't make out a word he's saying, and after a while, it does get really repetitive, and it is pretty sloppy vocals, but that is a big complaint, but it doesn't really take away that much. This is still an album I listen to quite a bit, and it is for the instrumentals. The instrumentals are what make this album so good. Now, Chris Barnes is not a terrible vocalist. It's just it gets a little old listening to him do the same thing throughout the whole album. Like, I wish that he would change from just doing, the really low growls and shit. But oh well. It's a good album. I really like Cannibal Corpse, Tomb of the Mutilated. Really, I would give it a 4 out of 5, but technically. But as far as enjoyment goes, I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. It kind of has become one of my favorites to listen to, and it's one that I've listened to quite often, and it got me into Cannibal Corpse, and I will hopefully be getting more into death metal as a whole and listening to other bands. So it's really all I have to say about Tomb of the Mutilated. It is a really good album. I can't say it's one of the best albums ever recorded, but I can definitely say it's one of the most iconic death metal records and probably one of the best. From what I've heard, I would say it's one of the most iconic. I can't say it's one of the best because I haven't heard very much else in the genre, but great album. I'm proud to own it in my collection. It's one of my favorites. It's one that I love to listen to over and over. And yeah, it's fun. Just listen to it. Like, if anything, listen to it for the obscene, crazy, disgusting song titles, and the lyrics, and just buy it for the insanely cool art cover. It's a good album. I recommend it. So yeah, that was kind of like my first album review. Sorry it wasn't like very good. I've never done an album review. Even when I was doing CD collection videos, I was never really reviewing individual albums. So leave me some in the comments. Leave behind some constructive criticism. Like, tell me how I can make these reviews better, because I'm sure that was a really shitty review. I've just never reviewed an album before. I'm not really skilled at it yet. I'm not really even that skilled at reviewing movies, but I'm far better at reviewing movies than I am at reviewing albums. But yeah, thanks guys for checking out my review, and go check out Cannibal Corpse. Peace. Oh, and let me know in the comments what other bands or albums I should listen to in the death metal genre, and any other albums you'd like me to review. Thanks guys. Peace.